You're listening to Vancouver Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM. We're coming to you from the unceded traditional territories of the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh nations around Vancouver, BC. I'm your host, Bernadine Fox, and this is the show that dares to change how we think about mental health. Welcome to Rethreading Madness.
When I've never been further from knowing what the hell I'm gonna do, when I can't seem to find my way under or over or through, just when I'm ready to give up the fight, there you are when we turn out the lights, and it's alright, it's alright, don't you worry, it'll be alright. Why do I always believe it when you tell me everything's gonna be alright? Yeah.
Today on Rethreading Madness, I reached out to Aiyana Joe Wood because of her provocative upcoming installation at Gallery Gachet here in Vancouver, BC. Aiyanna is a two-spirit Indigenous trans artist from the South Indian Lake First Nations. She is a member of Art Fix in Nipissing, which is a collective of artists with mental health or substance use lived experience. This exhibition is called Kopatanil, which translates in English to In Contempt. Now, if the title alone hasn't grabbed you, her story most likely will. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
If you want to listen to us anywhere you travel, you can go into your Google Play Store and then download the Radio Player Canada app, and you can listen to your favorite radio station, Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM.
Aiyanna, welcome to Rethreading Madness. This exhibition that is happening at Gallery Gachet is based on your experience in child protection. Can you give us a little background on how you ended up in child protection?
I was forcibly removed from my real parents in South Indian Lake, Manitoba by the RCMP. I ended up in the foster care system because my real parents were considered not well, or they couldn't take care of us. There was 4 of us at the beginning, and there's more children because my mom had kids afterwards, so
Right.
there's more of us. My mom and my dad both suffered from alcoholism, and that led to us being taken away at an early age, and we ended up in a Catholic foster family's home in Ericsdale, Manitoba. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say where they are because, well, except for the names, I can't say the names, but yeah, so I ended up in a foster home with a foster father who sexually molested us when we were in his care. And yeah, it was a big mess. It wasn't something that we were prepared to handle alone. There was no advocate. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, how old were you when you were taken?
I was 4 to 3.
Okay.
4. Yeah.
And you had 4 siblings at that time? Were you all taken to the same foster home, or?
Yeah, there was
Yes.
2 sisters and 2 brothers, so I'm the second oldest. So that would make me the second oldest of the siblings.
So you were all very, very young when you were taken.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's so common that people are sexually abused in foster homes. It's shocking how often that happens, and I'm sorry that happened to you. How long were you in that home?
For a long time. There was supposed to be a worker checking up on us and doing wellness checks, but then really happened. And to this day, like I can't say her name. To this day, she doesn't really talk about it. She kind of just lives her life like it never happened. So I'm living in this nightmare,
Right.
and I'm like stuck in that area in my life where I can't move forward because nobody else wants to discuss and disclose information that's important to our lives and help carry out justice
Right.
in the family. And that's how everybody else treated it. They don't realize what part of our lives they had an impact on, but they were a part of this in the child welfare system that is a part of the 60s scoop and Millennial Scoop, the continued self-destructive behavior like that continues to latch on to the next generation. I I don't I don't feel fully realize everything that went on just yet. I'm still recovering.
Right.
I'm in the midst of healing, and I'm trying to get my life all sorted out. And so is the rest of my family, but the rest of my family is dealing with addiction issues, and we're all trying to survive.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah. So how long were you in that system?
up until the age of 19.
And you aged out at that point?
Yeah, everything got cut off. I was completely cut off
Yeah.
from doctor's appointments, follow-ups, psychiatry help. Everything was cut off at 19, and I had no way of continuing my hormone treatments, my medication, and anything that was necessary for me to move forward.
Yeah, it's a real downfall of the system that they, I mean, they're basically stepping in as your guardian and, providing stuff, not necessarily all the right safety that you need, definitely, but this idea that they just cut you off at 19, that somehow you're just, you're going to be birthed into the world completely capable. It just doesn't happen that way. And it's a real, I'm hoping they're trying to change that. You were also, you identified quite early as trans. When did that happen?
Early, very, very early in my life. I'm really bad with dates and times, sorry. But I came out at a very young age, like kid age. Nobody else really identified or communicated, the difference between me and everyone else. I was isolated away from everybody. I was kept away from my peers because I was different. In school, I was considered like a threat because I was high risk, and the child welfare agency knew everything that was going on in my life, but they didn't intervene to try to change the way that the outcome could possibly be for me. They did everything for me. They sheltered me. They did absolutely everything in their power to control everything about me. And when I turned 18, the full realization as to what had happened and what I was a part of and what my family was a part of, my mom and my dad went through, and the systems that they grew up with and how it affected them. And I still love them. My mom passed away a couple of years ago, more than a couple of fire, and my dad's still alive. So as long as I have him, then that's everything to me.
And how being a trans child did that impact on your experience in the foster home? Because that is one of the ways that your experience is very different than other people's experience. Did they accept that you were trans? Did you have to fight for that as a child, or did they consider you had to fight as a child?
Yeah.
But at some point they must have recognized that that this was real because they got you into medical treatment that allowed you to start transitioning. How did that
Yes.
happen?
Um, I was never, there was never a really full disclosure as to what would go on in my life. At that time, there was never a full discussion of the treatments and preparing and getting ready and doing everything mentally to help you go forward with that option in life, I guess, because they didn't really communicate with me about everything that wasn't needed to go on hormone replacement therapy. I was kind of left out in the dark.
Right.
Yeah. Um, but I got into it at an early age and I started transitioning early in my life. I was considered a role model because people older than me wanted to transition at my age, and people looked up to me because I was myself and I was proud to be who I am, but I didn't fully understand everything that I was a part of at that time.
Right.
Because I was in an isolating experience with everybody because they didn't know how to handle me. They didn't know what to do with me. I was locked up most of the time because they just didn't want to deal with my issues. I was afraid for myself and fighting it off all the time and trying to explain as to the way that I am. So yeah, I had to fight really hard to be who I am.
Did you spend time in mental health institutions as well?
Yeah.
And why did that happen?
Because I was out of control, I guess. I was running away and not behaving and not, just conforming to what they wanted me to be. They blamed my foster father because of his sexual intervenence. It was that he created this issue for me, and that was the reason why it was because I was molested. And I found out years later in files because that's what they wrote about me.
I'm so sorry that all of that happened to you, but you have created an incredible installation, an exhibition that includes a lot of different components that tell this story. And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. So don't go away, folks. We'll be right back.
The Downtown East Side Women's Center has been helping self-identified women and their children for decades, but today, the DEWC needs your help. Due to the COVID-19 crisis, the center has had to cancel its annual in-person fundraisers, depriving the center of crucial financial resources. Services such as hot meals, clothing, showers, and secure mailboxes are now in jeopardy. To find out how you can help the Downtown East Side Women's Center, please visit their website at dewc.ca. That's dewc.ca.
You're listening to Rethreading Madness on Vancouver Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM. I'm Bernadine Fox, and I am chatting with Aiyana Joe Wood and Serena Kataoka from ArtFix. Serena's from ArtFix. Aiyanna, are you a member of ArtFix as well, or how does that work?
I am a member. I was one of the original members from when we created ArtFix.
So Serena, can you tell us a little bit about what ArtFix is?
You bet. ArtFix is a multidisciplinary arts for social change collective. And what makes us special to us is that we're run by and for artists with lived experience of mental health and substance use.
Right. And do you service just the Nipawsing area or yes? Or
yeah, we're based on in Nipissing region on Anishinaabe lands. Rights with and to these lands are negotiated through the Robinson-Huron Treaty of 1850. We're really grateful to be able to learn to live in a good way and create here with Nipissing Nation citizens. But Aiyanna moved to Toronto just this year, and so we've continued that relationship. So we're just experimenting with extending our circles wider.
Yes, they've been really helpful in helping people explore their creative side.
In what way were they helpful for you, Aiyanna?
They allowed me to express myself the way that I wanted to express myself without judgment.
Mm-hmm.
They were always there to make sure that I followed through with what I wanted to do for myself and what goals I wanted to achieve.
One of the things that I was struck with about your exhibition, and I haven't seen it, I will say that I'm looking forward to seeing it, but I did read about it and look at a lot of images, and what struck me was that you have created an exhibition that is really an experience. It's not about walking in and looking at the pictures on the wall, but you have to engage in the artwork. So you have to read and you have to listen and you have to watch something, or if you need a break, you can go somewhere and experience the break that you offer folks. I just want to congratulate you on that. I believe that art is more than the images that we put on the wall, and art that takes into consideration how people are going to experience it it's a much harder job. And from what I can see, you've done that well. And like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing it myself. What is the most important thing you want people to get out of your show, Aiyanna?
Hope. I want people to feel hopeful that they can reclaim back who they are in their lives and give like kind of like feedback on just important issues that need to be discussed with individuals about just culture and identity and just being who they are and being grateful for everything that that they should experience.
Right.
That hopefully will have an impact on people and they can express their points of view as well as an interactive experience too. Because I find it's very important to say what you need to say and say it from the heart.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me what trees have to do with your exhibition and how you've incorporated them and why they're important for you?
I think trees are like a giver of life, kind of like it kind of intertwines, Mother Nature with everything that goes on that can seem chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
And also because as a kid, I used to climb trees and kind of just like have fun, and it was a safe place for me to be at that time in my life because escaping a lot of my reality and kind of hiding more hiding that hurt inside, kind of like yeah.
One of the things that I wonder is, are there trigger warnings? Are there things that you want people to know ahead of time before coming in?
Yes, there's a lot of discussion about abuses and things that went on, things that are said in a particular way that can seem really offensive to our Indigenous culture, just by the way that that they express their points of view about who I am and who we are as two-spirited individuals in Canada, because a lot of with this exhibition, the experience of it is that it's like an accumulation of information from like a historical side of expressing one's culture and one's identity, and their points of view can hurt, like cause a lot of harm in the mind.
And when you say their points of view and their words, you're talking about the replication of your medical files or your file at social services, and that you're using as part of your artwork, that those things are including words and statements that might be offensive and hurtful.
Yeah.
Am I right? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And in really explicit terms, it includes discussion of sexual violence and the institutional and colonial violence that Aiyanna is describing. Yeah. So maybe also just to expand, because of the activating nature of that content, Aiyanna had thought about how important it would be for audience members to have a place to rest and rejuvenate. So people can move between experiencing the tree and engaging with some of these documents and videos and stories. So in the first iteration of the exhibition, Aiyanna worked with a mentor called Ailan Kuchi, Nibising Anishinaabe Kwe, and they laughed a lot making this out of balsa wood and tissue paper. It was really delicate. The making of it was delicate, and as an object, it was quite delicate.
Right.
So we've digitized it because we weren't confident it would make the journey across the country. So in Vancouver, people will experience a 3D VR version of the tree sculpture.
So a virtual reality experience as well. Cool.
Yeah. The hope is that when people put on that VR headset, they'll have a similar kind of intimate experience as Aiyanna had with trees when she was little.
That's very cool. So thank you, Serena and Aiyanna, for coming and chatting with me about this. And Serena, does ArtFix, do you have a way that people can reach ArtFix?
Yeah, check us out on social media, or our website is artfixnipissing.com.
Okay. And Nipissing is spelled N-I-P as in Peter, I-S-S as in Sam's, I-N-G, Nipissing.
You've got it.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much for coming, guys, and chatting with this. I can't wait to come down and experience this one myself.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, you're welcome.
Hey, did you know Red Eye has a podcast? You can tune in to Red Eye every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to noon, and now you can catch our interviews anytime. Look for the Red Eye podcast on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, or a host of other podcast apps. Or you can check out our latest episode right on our website, coopradio.org/redeye.
I was searching, I was looking for meaning. I was wondering, desperately trying only to see I have nothing missing. Who said I have to find who I am? Who said that I am lost to begin with? I am already enough. Everything I need is within me. Each morning when I wake up, I'm grateful for the beauty around me. Life is a gift, I wanna enjoy it. Always proving my worth only destroys it. I am already enough. Everything I need is within me. My motivation can't be validation. I'd always be starving for more affection, the wrong attention, only to feel like I am nothing. Who said I have to find who I begin with. I am already enough. Everything I need is within me. Each morning when I wake up, I'm grateful for the beauty around me. Life is a gift, I wanna enjoy it. Always proving my worth only destroys it. I am already enough. Everything I need is within me. Oh yeah. I have nothing to find and everything to feel. Only I can define what is meaningful to me. Even when I am feeling so breakable, I tell myself to believe I am valuable. I am already enough. Everything I need is within me. Each morning when I wake up, I'm grateful for the beauty around me. Life is a gift, I wanna enjoy it. Always proving my worth only destroys it. I am already enough. Everything I need is within me. I am already enough. Everything I need is within me. Each morning when I wake up, I'm grateful for the beauty around me. Life is a gift, I wanna enjoy it. Always proving my worth only destroys it. I am already enough. Everything I need is within me. I was searching, I was looking for meaning. I was wondering, desperately trying only to see I have nothing missing. Who said I have to find who I am? Who said that I am lost to begin with? I am already enough. Everything I need is within me. Each morning when I wake up, I'm grateful for the beauty around me. Life is a gift, I wanna enjoy.
Hi everyone, this is Bernadine Fox from Rethreading Madness that airs on Vancouver Co-op Radio every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Vancouver Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM, is an innovative nonprofit community radio station and podcast recording studio that provides a voice for those underrepresented in mainstream media. They provide the platform for Rethreading Madness to examine mental health from unique and important perspectives. Vancouver Co-op Radio gets our voices out to you. So if you appreciate Rethreading Madness and are in a position to donate, visit www.coopradio.org. That's www.coopradio.org and hit the donate button on the top right-hand side of the screen and follow the directions. Or you can mail your donation by check directly to 370 Columbia Street in Vancouver, BC, V4A 4J1. And then come join us at Rethreading Madness here every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Until then, stay safe out there.
Why do I always believe it when you tell me everything's gonna be alright? Yeah.
I'm Bernadine Fox, and with me right now I have Maroti, who is the artistic director at Gallery Gachet, to talk with us a little bit more about this exhibition going in called In Contempt. Maroti, can you tell us how this exhibition came to being mounted at Gachet?
Yeah, so Aiyanna's exhibition is one of the is the second solo exhibition that we are having at Gachet. We had Jujubee Jacinto's Rainbow Formula earlier this year. And after that, we have had a lot of community-oriented shows that showcase different aspects of Gachet's mandate. One of the reasons that I chose this exhibition was essentially because of Aiyanna's story and the way that Aiyanna's practice manifests and is embodied through her history and her life. And I just really thought about how Aiyanna's works kind of align with various aspects of Gachet's mandate, both old and new, being the focus on mental health and the mental health struggles that individuals go through, but also the politics and the politics of race and trauma that come into play and how they affect one's mental health and how they come across the world. So one of the main reasons that I picked this show was because of Aiyanna's story, but also the amazing way that her practice is shaped around her life and the actual aesthetics of the work.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier that I haven't actually seen the exhibition, but it seems to me to be one that is one that you experience. You're not just walking up to a wall and looking at an object on the wall, whether it's a painting or a mixed media assemblage or a photograph or whatever, and having that one-to-one sort of visual experience of it. This exhibition seems to fit many, many senses. So your sense of sight and sound and emotion, the emotional component of it seems to be quite strong. So to me, it's one of, I would call it a well-rounded exhibition, but it's not really, that's not really the artistic term for it, but it certainly is how I feel about it. And I've done exhibitions that are based on including all the senses of people when they walk into a show. What do you see people will learn from this exhibition? It's a very profound one. I've seen the images. I've looked at some of the artwork that's going up. I haven't heard parts of it as if that you can do once you go there. But what do you think that people will learn from this, and who do you think should come to see it?
Yeah, I think that first of all, like just to answer your first question and like what you spoke about earlier, with regards to how the exhibition is presented, I think it's very immersive. I think that's the word. The way that the structures in Rome were meant to stand as monuments to the power of God. I think of this exhibition as an immersive exhibition that like immerses the viewer in the experience of indigeneity and the specifics of trying to make your way in the world and how to take back power. The immersiveness of the exhibition, even though it's a feast for the senses, one would say. I am truly so proud of Aiyanna, and I also worry a bit for I and the Gachet team because I know it's going to be fun putting it on. But it's a treat for the senses. But one of the most integral parts of all of the multidisciplinary works shown and made by Aiyanna is the works that require you to listen and just think about how our positionality in the world, for a lot of Indigenous people, listening is a huge part of how knowledge is passed, because a lot of Indigenous people in Canada and also in Africa have this sense of embodied knowledge. So part of how knowledge is passed is through people and through sight and art objects, but also through storytelling and listening. And I find that like in the Western sense, there's usually this focus on the written word and what is written down and whose history is written down, when most of the times for Indigenous peoples, it's the stories that are told by people. So giving our viewers the opportunity to listen is very powerful, because they get to hear Aiyanna speak about her own experiences and how she chooses to embody herself in the world from her own words, and not in a written way. Vocally, they are listening to her, and hopefully with the knowledge that they gain, they would be able to go out into the world and think about indigeneity in a different sense, and think about how individual lives are affected by communal trauma in a sense. I think that an exhibition that would be very profound to a lot of people. Even myself, as a Black settler in Vancouver and Canada, I'm also learning more about the history and taking into account specifics, the communal history of indigeneity, but also like the specifics of indigeneity in the contemporary world, and how these stories are passed on, like the trauma is also passed on, and how it's important to center these voices like Aiyanna's.
Absolutely. I agree with that. You said that very well. So folks, In Contempt is opening on October 21st at 6 p.m. and it will go until November 25th. Gallery Gachet is an accessible site located at 9 West Hastings on the downtown east side of Vancouver, BC. Hours of operation are on their website at gachet.org. Thank you, Morochi. I look forward to coming down and seeing this show for myself.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Do you feel unsafe in your home?
You are not alone.
Transition houses offer free support and shelter for women and children.
We are here for you.
We are here for you.
We are here for you.
Make the call.
1-800-VICTIM-LINK.
1-800-563-0808. bcsch.ca.
You're listening to Rethreading Madness on Vancouver Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM. I'm Bernadine Fox, and I'm about to speak with Jake, who actually has come on our show before, but he was talking with us about some of the fallout that he's been experiencing as a person with a chronic illness in what is being called right now a medical crisis in Canada. So welcome, Jake.
Hi, Bernie. I'm glad to be here in your studio today.
Yeah, it's the first time I've been back actually in the studio and recording a session, which is kind of nice. I've missed it a great deal.
It feels good in here.
Does it?
Yeah, it's like coming home again.
Coming home. That's what it feels like. It does feel like that. Although I have enjoyed doing recordings at home over Zoom. It's not the same quality of recording, and of course the cat can come in and the kids can come in, and the birds are outside not caring that you're trying to record something or an ambulance goes by, so it's become rather informal, which I kind of like, but I have missed the studio. So
the sound quality in the studio just makes it feel so calming.
Really?
It does.
Really? That's cool.
It does.
Well, of course, and you've had a problem getting on Zoom. That has been a problem for you. That's been stressful. So this will be better. So Jake, I know that we hear on the news that our medical system is in crisis, and I think in some ways if you have a doctor and you don't really have medical issues that make it really complicated, you might be skating past this medical crisis without really being impacted by it. But for someone such as yourself, you have medical conditions that require that you engage with the medical system, and that require that the medical system be there for you when you engage. And so I really want to talk about, what does it look like for you, this medical crisis we're in? Never mind the stats, the numbers, how many doctors, how many people are looking. Personally, for you, Jake, what is it looking like? Can you start by telling us what your medical condition is, as much as you feel you can share?
Yeah, I've had diabetes for about 25 years. I'm 63 now, and so a minimum of 25 years with diabetes. It's expanded over that time, and there's been complications that have come. One of them is a pretty serious one. It's called gastroparesis. It's a stomach disorder. It's really a condition where the vagus nerve that controls digestion doesn't work properly. It's partially paralyzed, and it harms my body's ability to integrate food and to process food, and sometimes I end up in a condition where I'm vomiting uncontrollably and nonstop, and I need to go into the ER. I've had to go probably 5 or 6 times in the last 2 years.
And you've gone into the ER before the medical crisis began.
Yes.
And now you're experiencing it during the medical crisis. What is the difference for you? What are you finding has changed?
Let's see, it was April 2020 when my daughter moved to Toronto, and around that time was the beginning of the COVID phase, so that's a little over 2 years ago. And in that time, it just feels alarming whenever I end up in the medical system, especially in the ER, to address an urgent problem that's come up. More and more chaos each time in the ER. People are inundated. The people that run the healthcare system, it's clear that they are frazzled and they are just at their wits' end at this point, 2 years in, and it's very difficult to get the level of care that once existed in this province a short time ago. Right now it's quite different. The last time I went in was an egregious type of experience.
Well, tell me about that. What happened?
It was in August, middle of August, so a month ago, just a little over a month ago, and I had a friend drive me to the ER because I was in very dire straits and I needed to be rehydrated urgently, and I needed anti-nausea medication urgently. I was unable to stop vomiting. I was in the ER for 8 hours, maybe 9, and I wasn't allowed to have an advocate with me. I had to leave the advocate at the door. So
when you say advocate, you're not necessarily talking about a professional that's coming to advocate for you. Are you talking about a friend or a family member?
Yeah.
Were there any family members allowed in the ER with patients?
You can drop somebody off at the ER as a family member, right. But whatever condition they're in, when they take them, when it's their turn to go in and be treated, their advocate is not allowed in with them currently. And my personal experience was I was exhausted, sleep deprived. I had been throwing up for hours and hours, and I was spent, and my body was spent. I'm not in a condition to communicate with doctors in this capacity, and I can't bring an advocate in with me. So it's basically 8 hours or 9 hours in the ER where they're trying to treat me, and I'm not able to ascertain what they're saying to me. Honestly, I can't really compute what they're telling me medically or what they're going to do with treatment, or I'm not even aware of what they're doing to me. They hook me up with an IV, and since I have no advocate there, all I do is throw up for 8 or 9 hours, annoying everybody in the ER with all the noise I'm making and the unpleasantness of it all. And I am a burden on the whole room for 8 or 9 hours, and nothing they do other than rehydrate me helps with the condition I have. They basically can really do very little for me except get me rehydrated and get some IV anti-nausea medications into me, which don't stop me from vomiting. And then this time they sent me home after 9 hours with the same condition, still vomiting.
Were you able to know what kind of medication they gave you?
Well, not at the time, no. They're telling me what they're giving me, but I'm not hearing them. I'm just in dire straits physically. Like,
were you able to talk enough to give them a history about why you were there, or?
Oh yeah, at the window, I tell them what and I've been there so many times. They have it all on file, right? So they ask me, and I tell them as best I can. But if you're talking to somebody who is, doubled over, or they're just. If I was trying to talk to you and you had a migraine headache, you might not be successful in communicating with me because your migraine headache just takes over, right?
Yeah, it's true.
And this is my condition, is like I'm not able to talk to people when I'm in the middle of it. It's so rough. And a doctor's trying to treat me, and I need an advocate there with me, and they're not allowing me to have one.
Do you think that's because of COVID, or?
I don't know.
It feels like we're kind of on the other side of COVID, that should be relaxed a little bit, but maybe I'm wrong.
I get mixed up with COVID, and it's like we're getting a lot of mixed signals. I think the average person out there on the street these days is getting a lot of mixed signals about what COVID is and what the jabs were all about, and how the jabs have affected each person individually and whether they got them or not. And there's a lot of argument going on both sides now. And it seems to me it's overall not very scientific if you look at the last 2 years and how much the science of it has changed. But I look at my trips to the ER and going, it's very clear in the ER that COVID exists, and they are putting rules in place to protect from COVID.
Right. So those are still happening, those rules.
Right. But when you get out in the world, everybody's walking around maskless, and there's nobody on the buses wearing masks, and there's nobody in the grocery stores. And it's like COVID doesn't exist outside the hospital.
Except that you can sort of understand that in a hospital you're at greater risk of being exposed to something that is a virus, because there are a lot of sick people in there, right? So that kind of makes sense. I want to ask also, because you're not just seeing a GP, you have conditions that require you to have specialists.
Right.
How is that going? Is that being impacted by the medical crisis that we're experiencing?
It is, because I have a very complex medical condition. I have 10 different doctors right now. I don't know if that's a lot or a little, but my condition has me interacting with 10 different doctors.
I'd say that's a lot.
So I'm very busy just in the administration of looking after, the requirements of the program with each of the doctors, right? It's like a full-time job. And all of them treat a portion of what is wrong with me, and the wholeness of it seems to be absent. Like somebody treating my leg for a nervous system condition in my leg doesn't necessarily understand how what they're doing to me may impact my diabetic condition, my gastroparesis condition, and I'm finding I'm having to educate the doctors about what I know of my condition, which is very little. And, if I have a medical doctor treating me in the ER, it's very likely that, he's not aware of all of the intricacies of my condition. And when I am not clear-headed, when I am exhausted and in the throes of being in pain and misery, physical misery, I can't communicate to these doctors what they need to know about my condition. And I don't have an advocate there with me, because they're not allowed, who knows about these intricacies and can explain it on my behalf. So a lot gets missed. Like this last trip to the ER, they rehydrated me and sent me home, and they really went home in the same condition I arrived in. Still,
it sort of sounds like you need a medical coordinator. Wouldn't that be somebody that is a GP? How is your GP around all this?
I have a very kind of a family doctor who I've had for over 10 years, and my family doctor has experienced a patient in me whose condition has deteriorated a lot from the ages of 53 to 63 for me. Like my condition is completely different today than it was when I first met her.
Right.
And my doctor is, quite frankly, in some cases, over her head with my medical needs. She is not necessarily equipped to answer all the complications of my condition. So she goes to a lot of outside experts and brings them in and does a lot of consulting with them as well. And we're all learning as we go along.
But is anybody sort of overseeing and making sure what specialist A is doing doesn't negatively impact what specialist B is doing? Who is running the show?
I get the feeling that that's me
Yes.
more and more.
And you are not a doctor.
No.
You don't have any medical training.
I know less than most people about medical
Right.
issues.
And that sounds to me like a crisis waiting to happen, even more so than what you're dealing with already.
A gastroparesis is a disease that people are just sort of finding out about right now, and I feel on my own with it presently.
Actually, I've read somewhere that COVID vaccinations or COVID itself they're finding a correlation between that and the emergence of gastroparesis. And so hopefully, maybe, you won't be in this place where you're dealing with a really rare disease. Unfortunately, maybe there will be more people that are dealing with it. I know for me, the fact that COVID is creating a lot of people with chronic fatigue, i.e. long COVID, I feel a little bit of relief that perhaps we will be coming up with some solutions rather than just how to deal with the symptoms. So I hope that that's true for you too, Jake.
I expect so. I
Good.
think that's coming. I'm hoping to keep my equilibrium long enough to get to that place
Yay.
where they've started to recognize that
Yes.
there's immune issues around
Right.
the jab.
Right. Interesting. Okay, so I'm sorry, but we have to stop here. But we'll be right back, folks. Thanks, Jake, for coming and chatting with us about this.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Doc said I got 12 hours. I called you without a second thought. Playing right within the hour as she pictures life without a sun. Oh, I know. 1 hour visitation. She beats me in chess another round. Don't matter what we're saying, I'm just glad you made it into town. Save me, now I'm facing all my fears of the unknown. I've been shaking in my bones lately. I've been praying to a God I've never known. I can't do this on my own. So try not to cry. I won't say goodbye just yet. So hold on to my hand, or I'll be fine for tonight with you by my side. Oh my, well, don't you know you're my lifeline? I know I'm not good at calling. Dad said I've fallen off the grid. We hardly say I love you, 'cause your parents' never did. Save me, now I'm facing all my fears of the unknown. I've been shaking in my bones lately. I've been praying to a God I've never known. I can't do this on my own. Try not to cry. I won't say goodbye just yet. So hold on to my hand, or I'll be fine for tonight with you by my side. Oh my, well, don't you know you're my lifeline? So let go, 'cause I won't waste another minute. There's distance, we're drifting from difference of opinion. I can't be mad, I'm not what you planned for. I hope you know that no one else could ever save me. I've been praying to a God I've never known. I can't do this on my own. Try not to cry. I won't say goodbye
see it. So hold on to my hand, oh, I'll be fine for tonight with you by my side. Oh, don't you know you're my lifeline? Ooh, my lifeline. Don't you know you're my lifeline?
You're listening to Rethreading Madness on Vancouver Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM. I'm Bernadine Fox, and that's our show. On a commentary note, Vancouver has a new mayor, duly elected just this week. He is the first Chinese-Canadian mayor, and for that, Vancouverites get my 2 thumbs up for progressing into the 21st century. That said, Ken Sim and the ABC Party are about to drag themselves back to the 19th century with their notions of a new mental health treatment center, where they say they want to address the need to support people struggling with mental health and addictions. And let's just call it what it is. It's a trendy idea these days. They then call for a mental health summit that includes, and listen carefully, I am sure my listeners will hear who is missing in this group of stakeholders: Metro Vancouver mayors, provincial and federal ministers, First Nations, health authorities, service agencies, all with the goal of creating this new mental health treatment center. If you didn't hear it, there is an utter absence of any mention of the mental health consumer in this proposed summit. It continues to amaze me that the mental health field is the only industry, and it is a very lucrative industry, that would put on a summit to enhance services by first ignoring the needs and desires of its primary customers. Just think about it. They have created an entire industry where, whether the customer is happy or helped, they still can make oodles of money. Mental health consumers have become inconsequential to the process. Never before has the phrase, "nothing about us without us," could be more apt. If this is important to you and your family, let Ken Sim and the ABC Party hear your frustration around this oversight and demand that they include those of us who live with mental health challenges in the development and critical measurements of what they are creating. My thanks to Aiyana Joe Wood, Serena Kataoka, and Moroti George for chatting with us about Aiyanna's upcoming exhibition, and to Jake for talking with me about how BC's medical crisis is impacting on him personally. If you want to get a hold of the artist, Aiyana Joe Wood, you can do so through ArtFix or by reaching out to Gallery Gachet. A shout out to Fearless, Bassett, and Ulrich for the gift of their music, but as always, my thanks goes out to you for joining us today. Stay safe out there. You've just listened to Rethreading Madness, where we dare to change how we think about mental health. We air live on Vancouver Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM, every Tuesday at 5 p.m. or online at coopradio.org. If you have questions or feedback about this program, or want to share your story, or have something to say to us, we want to hear from you. You can reach us by email, rethreadingmadness@coopradio.org. This is Bernadine Fox. We'll be back next week. Until then.
When I've never been further from knowing what the hell I'm gonna do, when I can't seem to find my way under or over or through, just when I'm ready to give up the fight, there you are when we turn out the lights, and it's alright, it's alright, don't you worry, it'll be alright. Why do I always believe it when you tell me everything's gonna be alright? Yeah. Why don't I wonder how you know? Well, surely you don't have all of the facts. You could be just making it up. Why don't I ever think of that? It's some kind of magic